Find other great podcasts like this one at Podmoth.network.
Hey, what are you up to?
Oh, hi. I'm listening to this awesome podcast.
Ooh, I love finding awesome new podcasts. What is it about?
Well, it's about a bunch of things. Sometimes history, sometimes hauntings, sometimes it's spooky, and sometimes it's funny, but it's always interesting.
Ooh, okay, that sounds great. What's special about it?
Well, each week, Celine picks a topic and reads it, and
Wait, what?
Matt creates a pairing of a treat and a drink to go with this peculiar tale.
Wait.
And they talk about it, and they joke about it.
Hold on.
And sometimes they have guests and have even more fun.
Wait a second.
What?
That's our podcast.
Yeah, you're right.
Why are you listening to our podcast?
Well, you know, we're heading into the long dark of winter, and that can make some people feel kind of isolated, and listening to Peculiar Pairings is a great way to feel like you're hanging out with good friends at the push of a button.
Well, that actually sounds really nice. Kind of sounds like everyone should be listening to Peculiar Pairings.
You know, I couldn't agree more.
So if this sounds like it's piqued your interest, you should search Peculiar Pairings podcast on your favorite podcasting platform today.
Yeah, we're everywhere. Come check it out.
Find us. We're there.
Hey there, fellow true crime aficionados. We're the host of Bad Acts, a true crime podcast. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Aaron.
Join us every Thursday for twisted true crime tales of dark deeds and despicable people. We focus on lesser known, unique stories with a new case each week. We've covered family annihilators, cannibals, revenge killings, killer kids, mysterious murders, survivor stories, and much more. We've even tackled stories of people who blamed zombies, vampires, ghosts, and voodoo for their bad acts.
Of course, we know they're the only ones to blame. You can find us everywhere you get your podcast, or you can visit our website at badaxpod.com.
If you like fresh stories and new perspectives on crime, Bad Acts will be your new jam. Join Bad Acts every Thursday. Stay safe, y'all.
See you soon.
Welcome to the Brutal, Bizarre, and Boozy podcast. I'm Deklan, the son.
And I'm Jane, the mom. This is the podcast where we talk about brutal crimes, bizarre occurrences, and get you drunk with cocktails themed around one of our stories. To lighten things up, we'd like to end our time with a chaser. Please keep in mind some of our stories might be upsetting to young or sensitive ears.
We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to contact us by email or social media. You can find our contact info in the show notes for this episode. If you'd like to support us through Patreon, you can find us there at Brutal, Bizarre, and Boozy podcast, or use the link in our show notes.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of Brutal, Bizarre, and Boozy. How are you doing today, Deklan?
I'm good today. How are you, Mom?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Are you excited to tell us about your story today?
Yes. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter story, but I'm going to be talking about the Flatwoods Monster.
Ooh. We've got a monster. I don't think we've done, well, unless it's a person.
Well, no, I think it's a extraterrestrial.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Fun.
We'll talk about that. What story do you have for us today?
I'm going to be telling you about one of the most extensive investigations in Italian history.
Okay. Interesting.
And to go with it, I have the cocktail called the Italian Gentleman. It is made of 1.5 ounces of Campari, 1.5 ounces of bourbon, 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 1/4 ounce of simple syrup, a dash of orange bitters, and a garnish of a lemon slice. The steps are pretty straightforward. Shake it, strain it, garnish, drink it.
Let's drink it.
Okay. I don't know how this is going to go because I know every time I add Campari to something, I hate it.
Hi. Ugh. Ooh.
Oh,
Ah.
yeah.
It tastes like how plastic, like burning plastic smells.
It's really nice at first,
And then the Campari hits you, and it's
then
like,
it lingers on your tongue like a furry coat.
yeah, that's not
I don't
good.
like that.
I don't like it. Ugh,
Why does
looks
it taste
cool,
so
but
good at the
God.
first?
Because you taste the bourbon first, and when the bourbon goes away, all that's left is a Campari, and it just maybe drinking more will fix it.
Yeah. The second drink wasn't as bad.
Once that bourbon goes away, though, it's the Campari just stays in there. Ugh.
I will say that I read the reviews on this cocktail, and somebody said that it was not sweet enough because the Campari was so bitter and suggested to add more syrup. And so I did a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, which I think is appropriate. I think 1/4 ounce would not give you enough.
I think you need a bridge to the bitters, like grapefruit juice or something. So that
It's funny that you say
not-
that because one of the reviews said, this has got a real nice grapefruit taste. And I was like, there's no fucking grapefruit in it.
because grapefruit itself is bitter, but
Yes.
I think the citrus would help transition it from bourbon
Yeah.
in the first sip, and then get you to the bitters in a better, because it's like the bitters just hits you like a fucking
Yeah.
wall. It's gross.
Yeah. There's more lemon juice than there is simple syrup, which is unusual because usually in a cocktail the acid and the syrup are balanced equal. And this is not. I mean, it's close, but yeah, it's pretty bitter.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
It definitely lingers a bit. So, yeah, I don't know that that's a do-over. I think that's a definite do not do over. Don't do it. All right, are you ready for this very in-depth investigation?
I'm ready.
Okay. Yara Gambirasio. I probably pronounced her last name wrong, and I apologize, but I'm doing my best here because I don't speak Italian, and I'm gonna take care of some words right off the bat. They're just gonna be bad, but you know, we do what we can do. Yara was born on May 21st, 1997, in the small town of Brembrate. I don't know. Small town in the Lombardy region of northern Italy. We'll just throw that out there. She was the youngest child to Fulvio and Mora and grew up alongside her older siblings. Friends and family described her as cheerful, energetic, and dedicated to her studies and athletics. Like many girls her age, she spent much of her free time with friends and participated in extracurricular activities. One of her greatest passions was rhythmic gymnastics, a sport that demands a combination of athleticism, flexibility, and precision. In the fall of 2010, Yara was 13 years old. She was known as a responsible teenager who followed a predictable routine. That Friday evening, Yara went to the sports center in her town where she trained in rhythmic gymnastics. The center was less than 1/2 mile from her house. She had been helping prepare for an upcoming competition and had delivered a stereo system to the gym. Shortly after 6:40 p.m., she left the facility and began the short walk home, but she never arrived. When Yara failed to return home, her family became concerned almost immediately. Calls were made to friends and acquaintances, but no one knew where she was. Before long, authorities were contacted and a search operation began. At first, investigators considered the possibility that she had run away and met someone voluntarily, but those theories quickly faded. Nothing in Yara's behavior suggested that she intended to disappear. She had left behind her personal belongings, had plans for the weekend, and maintained a close relationship with her family. So not any of the hallmark runaway things. But, you know, when a kid doesn't show up, a teenager, that's one of the things that you have to consider. But they were like, nah, that's not her. As news of her disappearance spread, hundreds of volunteers joined the search. Police officers, firefighters, rescue workers, and ordinary citizens combed fields, roads, and wooded areas around the town. Posters bearing Yara's photograph appeared throughout the region. Days passed without answers, then weeks. As the search expanded, the case attracted national attention. Italian media provided constant coverage, and the public became deeply invested in the fate of the missing teenager. Despite extensive efforts, investigators found no significant leads capable of explaining what had happened after Yara left the gym. The mystery continued through the winter. Then, nearly 3 months after she vanished, a grim discovery brought an end to the search. On February 26, 2011, Yara's body was found in a field roughly 6 miles from where she had disappeared. The location had been searched previously, but the body had not been discovered until then. The discovery devastated her family and shocked Italy. Investigators determined that Yara had suffered multiple injuries, including deep cuts and a head wound. Those injuries appeared to have occurred before her death and would not have, by themselves, caused her death. So she was injured, but it wasn't those injuries that, you know, they weren't significant enough. The cause of death was believed to have been a combination of those injuries in addition to hypothermia. Basically, she was still alive and bleeding when she was deposited in the field where she was later found. So it was that combo that investigators thought was the cause of her death. While the exact circumstances surrounding her final hours remained unclear, forensic evidence collected from her clothing would ultimately become the centerpiece of the investigation. Among the evidence recovered was a sample of male DNA. At the time, investigators had no suspect, no eyewitnesses, no confession, and no clear motive. What they did have was a genetic profile belonging to an unidentified male. The unknown individual became known as Ignoto 1, meaning unknown number 1. Italian authorities launched one of the largest DNA investigations in the country's history. Thousands of men were asked to provide DNA samples. Eventually, nearly 22,000 samples would be collected and analyzed.
Jesus.
Yeah, that is a crazy number. The process was painstaking. Investigators compared sample after sample, looking for a match or even a partial connection that might reveal the identity of the unknown male whose DNA had been found on Yara's clothing. Years passed, then a breakthrough emerged with an unexpected direction. Forensics experts discovered that the DNA profile appeared to be related to a man named Giuseppe Girinoni. Sure. He had worked as a bus driver and had died years before Yara's murder. So it's not like he was the suspect, but he was believed to be related to the person that left the sample on her clothing. The finding created an entirely new investigative challenge. If Gironi was related to Ignoto 1, investigators needed to determine how. Authorities began reconstructing his family history and identified possible descendants. Investigators examined hundreds of potential family connections and conducted extensive genealogical research. What they discovered surprised everyone involved. Evidence suggested that Giuseppe had fathered a child outside of his marriage. That child was believed to be Massimo Bassetti. Bassetti was born on October 28, 1970, and he worked as a construction laborer. He was married and had 3 children. By all outward appearances, he lived an ordinary life in the same general area where Yara had disappeared. The revelation that Bassetti was allegedly Gironi's biological son came as a shock not only to investigators, but also to Bassetti and his family. He had no idea that there was this potential that he was somebody's love child. So, surprise, you're the love child of the bus driver. The authorities continued to gather evidence, and on July 15, 2014, police conducted a covert operation to obtain Bassetti's DNA. The following day, he was arrested. Investigators announced that his DNA matched the profile of Ignoto 1. The arrest generated enormous media attention. For many observers, the DNA match appeared to solve the mystery that had haunted Italy for more than 3 years. Prosecutors argued that the evidence conclusively connected Bassetti to the crime, but Bassetti denied any involvement. From the beginning, he maintained that he was innocent and insisted he had no explanation for how his DNA could have been found on Yara's clothing. The case soon moved toward trial. One of the central figures in the prosecution, the prosecutor had overseen the investigation, and by this point, the case had become one of the most closely watched legal proceedings in Italy. The prosecution's argument focused heavily on the DNA evidence. According to prosecutors, the genetic profile recovered from Yara's clothing matched Bassetti and placed him in direct contact with the victim. They argued that this evidence, combined with other investigative findings, proved his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, which is what you want. You want to make sure if you sentence somebody to prison for all these bad things that you got to make sure you got the right one. But of course, the defense challenged that conclusion. Bassetti's attorneys questioned aspects of forensic evidence and argued that investigators had focused too heavily on the DNA, especially because Bassetti's DNA wasn't the only sample found. Plot twist. Actually, there were 11 different DNA traces on Yara's body, and only 2 of those samples were identified to specific individuals. The DNA
They
evidence...
say what kind of DNA evidence it was?
No, I did not see that.
Okay.
Just that there was DNA evidence. So we don't know. The DNA evidence became the central issue at trial. Prosecutors argued that and this is where science comes in because it gets confusing, but prosecutors argued that the nuclear DNA profile recovered from Yara's clothing matched Bassetti and provided powerful evidence linking him to the crime. The defense focused heavily on questions surrounding the genetic evidence. Bassetti's lawyers pointed to disputes involving mitochondrial DNA, which is inherited only from the mother. They argued that some analysis appeared to show inconsistencies between the mitochondrial DNA findings and the nuclear DNA profile that investigators had used to identify Bassetti. Basically, the defense is saying, this is not the right guy. You're relying on the DNA, but the DNA doesn't, it's not actually foolproof, and you don't conclusively link these two together. Defense attorneys claimed those discrepancies raised questions about whether mistakes could have occurred during the years-long process of collecting, cataloging, and comparing thousands of DNA samples. They asked the court to conduct additional reviews of the evidence and argued that the genetic findings were not as straightforward as prosecutors suggested. Prosecutors and court-appointed experts maintained that the DNA evidence remained reliable and continued to support the conclusion that Bassetti was the source of the genetic material found on Yara's clothing. Ultimately, the court accepted the prosecution's interpretation of the evidence. The defense contended that important questions remained unanswered and maintained that the prosecution had failed to establish exactly how the crime occurred. As the trial unfolded, Italy followed every development. Television programs discussed the evidence in detail. Newspapers published daily updates. Legal experts debated the significance of the DNA findings and the broader implications of the case. Throughout the proceedings, Bassetti continued to deny responsibility. He keeps saying, it wasn't me. Nothing to do with it. And they're like, well, your DNA says different. But then his defense attorneys and other science experts are like, yeah, there's some discrepancy potentially there. But Italy is like, too bad. We caught our guy. At one point during the trial, Bassetti told the court that he was not a killer and insisted that he had been wrongly accused. After months of testimony and argument, the court reached its decision. On July 1st, 2016, Massimo Bassetti was found guilty of murdering Yara Gambirasio. The court sentenced him to life in prison. For Yara's family, the verdict marked the conclusion of a long and painful legal process. For Bassetti and his supporters, however, the fight was not over. He continued to maintain his innocence and pursued appeals. In 2017, an appeals court upheld the conviction. The case then moved to Italy's highest criminal court. On October 12, 2018, the Court of Cassation confirmed the conviction and life sentence, bringing the formal appeals process to a close. Even after the conviction became final, debate surrounding the case continued. Bassetti's legal team continued challenging aspects of the DNA evidence and sought additional analysis of the forensics materials. But at this time, Bassetti's appeals have been exhausted and he remains in prison. And according to the investigators, all of the DNA sample is gone because of testing. So they can't even say, oh, well, let's test the mitochondrial DNA versus the nuclear DNA and check that and this and all of these things. They can't do it anymore because it's gone.
Wow.
Gone bye-bye. So this guy is sitting in prison with a lot of unanswered questions and still saying he didn't do it. But
yeah, that. Do they have like appeals? I'm sure they have appeals.
They do. He's used them all up.
You run out?
He ran out, yeah. You take it to the highest court and the highest court says, no, we think it's correct. You're screwed. You're done. And, you know, like.
What about the other 11 samples? Where are those at? Where are those guys?
Right.
And what kind of samples? It could just be hair. It could be.
We've done a lot of stories. I mean, this is our 201st episode. So we've had 200 other criminal, true crimey type stuff. And normally I'm like, well, you're convicted and all of the courts. But, you know, I've listened to so many stories about, not to throw Italy under the bus, but there's been some stuff that's happened in Italy where they just go a little rogue with their prosecution process and innocent people end up in prison for periods of time. And so it just makes me go, maybe this is kind of rough, you know? I mean, it happens in America too. Don't get me wrong. It happens everywhere. But it just makes me, I mean, I love Italy. Makes me kind of not want to go there very much.
Wonder what like Italian prison food is like.
Oh, better than ours, I'm sure.
Ragu and
maybe they get bologna on white bread.
Yeah. Well, it's Italy. They gotta get a what's it? One that starts with M with pistachios in it.
Mortadella.
Yeah, they get mortadella on white bread.
There you go. Which I don't like bologna. And mortadella looks gross, but I feel like I should try it just for the sake of trying it.
If you ever see it at the store, get a couple slices and
I think they have it at the deli at Fred Meyer.
Yeah, just get like a quarter pound of
2
it.
slices. It's probably gross because no one else has ever ordered it and
ordered
eaten
mortadella.
it. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the Flatwoods Monster. At 7:15 p.m. on September 12th, 1952, two brothers, Edward and Fred May, and their friend Tommy Heyer, said that they saw a bright object cross the sky and land on the property of a local farmer, Bailey Fisher. The boys went home and told their mother, Kathleen May. Are you going to say something?
No, I was just thinking when you said Flatwoods Monster, I was thinking cryptid-ish, Mothman-y, weird things running around in the forest, Sasquatchy, and we don't do a lot of those. But then you said extraterrestrial, and I didn't even put it together with a UFO. Don't ask me. I don't know why I didn't think that, but because
we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So the boys went home and told their mother, Kathleen May, and the four of them, accompanied by local children Neil Nunley, Rosie Shaver, and Kathleen's cousin, who was a West Virginia National Guardsman, Eugene Lemon. They all went to the Fisher farm in an effort to locate whatever it was that Edward and Fred had claimed to see. Before the group reached the top of the hill, one of the local dogs took off up the hill where Nunley said they saw a pulsing red light. Moments later, the dog came running back with its tail tucked between its legs and hid behind the group of people going up there. So something spooked this dog, and it came running back. Lemon said he aimed a flashlight in that direction and momentarily saw a tall, man-like figure with a round, red face surrounded by a painted hood-like shape, kind of in the shape of like an ace of spades. So there's the face, and then the hood is kind of shaped like, like goes out and then up at the top.
Yeah. Okay, I looked up
a picture of it.
Yeah.
It looks like ace of spades.
Yes, it does. I don't like it.
Descriptions of the creature varied. An article for Fate magazine based on his tape-recorded interviews, UFO writer Gary Barker described the figure as approximately 10 feet tall, with a round, blood-red face, large pointed hood-like shape around the face, eyes eye-like shaped with that emitted a green-orange light, and a dark black or green body.
Ooh.
May described the figure as having small claw-like hands and clothing-like folds, but it appeared to be made out of metal.
Ugh.
According to the story, when the figure made a large hissing sound and glided towards the group, Lemon screamed and dropped his flashlight, causing the group to run away. The creature then changed directions and headed towards the red light that they saw in the woods. The group said they had smelled a pungent mist, and some later said they were nauseated by the smell. The local sheriff and deputy had been investigating reports of a crashed aircraft in the area. They searched the site of the reported monster, but saw and heard and smelled nothing. According to Barker's account the next day, Lee Stewart Jr. of the Braxton Democrat claimed to have discovered skid marks in the field and an odd gummy deposit on the ground, which were subsequently attributed by UFO enthusiasts as evidence of a saucer landing.
Of course.
After the event, investigators associated with civilian saucer investigations obtained a number of accounts from witnesses who claimed to have experienced similar to or related phenomena. These accounts included the story of a mother and her 21-year-old daughter who claimed to have encountered a creature with the same appearance and odor a week prior to the September 12th incident.
Oh, so this is happening more than once that people are seeing the ace of spades.
Yes. The encounter reportedly affected the daughter so badly that she was confined to a hospital for 3 weeks.
Oh, geez.
They also gathered a statement from the mother of the local farmer in which she said that the approximate time of the crash, her house had been violently shaken and her radio had cut out for about 45 minutes. A report from the director of the local board of education also saw something similar that night. He claimed to have seen a flying saucer taking off at around 6:30 in the morning, of September 13th, the morning after the creature was sighted. The day after the Flatwoods incident, a couple taking a leisurely drive through the mountains of Frampton in West Virginia, they were driving around dusk time when they met a similarly horrific experience. Their car came to a sudden stop and refused to start again. Shortly thereafter, a putrid sulfuric acid smell filled the air, similar to what everyone saw the day before.
Ooh.
The couple, circling the vehicle in hopes of spotting the culprit, spotted something far worse than they could have imagined. From the waist down, it was similar to the Flatwoods Monster, but from the waist up, it was a reptilian humanoid.
Ew.
This creature is thought to be the same creature that was sighted in Flatwoods, but without the top half of its suit. This was known as the Frampton Monster. While the Flatwoods Monster hasn't been seen in years, many recognize its appearance. It's got a bunch of like cultural implications in like video games and movies and stuff. One of which is people who played Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. That game features a creature named Them, which looks exactly like the Flatwoods Monster. It's like eerily similar. So someone who made that game probably heard the story and was like, "Oh, let's throw that in the game."
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
But it's hasn't been seen really ever since.
Since the 50s.
Yeah.
I would say if that happened today, I would think it was a hoax because people do weird, silly shit now. And I mean, I wasn't alive in the 1950s, but something makes me think that people weren't doing weird, stupid shit back then like they would be doing now.
They didn't have drones that they could put like a little prop on and fly it around. So
yeah, I'm
That's
thinking,
what I thought it was. I thought it was like a little. Someone put a prop on the bottom of a drone and because that's happened before.
Yeah.
Like people are like, "Oh, there's ghosts," and it turned out to just be like a little Halloween prop on the bottom of a drone that someone was flying around their neighborhood.
Just to be a dick.
That freaked me out if it was the 50s and you didn't know what drones were. And
yeah. I feel like, somebody's just dressing up to be a dickhead now, where back then, like, it wouldn't occur. But maybe, I mean, people have always been assholes and people have always been bullies. So maybe this was just a weird prank, or maybe it was a strange reptile.
But
alien.
if there's like, it was like, I think over 8 people that all saw it at once, like that.
Yeah,
that seems more, rather than just 2 little kids seeing it in a farm. They went and gathered everyone they knew and was like, "Hey, come look at this UFO with me."
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
I kind of take more stories like that from back in the day. I take those a little bit more seriously than stuff today, but maybe that's just me.
I don't know. You also think about it. They didn't have the internet. They couldn't look up like, "Oh, what is
how to
this?
Fuck with my neighbors."
Yeah. So I don't know.
True. Interesting.
You have a chaser for us?
I do have a chaser. My chaser is that the season 13 of Alone recently started, and we are very excited. It's like a world championship season, so they have people from all over the world playing. And we've only seen the first episode so far, and only 5 contestants, and I think 2 of those so far from the US, and then I think there's a couple. There's a New Zealand and an Australian, and
they bring back that guy who killed the like water buffalo with a knife or whatever that was.
No, these are all new contestants. They've never been on before. It's just people from all over the world, instead of typically on previous seasons, it's usually US, Canada.
Mm.
Rarely anybody outside of that.
Hmm.
Maybe because everybody else is like, I don't need to torture myself by living in the woods alone, trying to build a shelter. So
I keep trying that drink again.
I know, I do too. I do too.
It looks so tasty in it.
It does. It looks so good, but it tastes
Gross.
so bad.
Yeah, give me a heartburn.
What's your chaser today?
My chaser is a watch recommendation for the movie Him on Netflix. I think that's what it's called. It's got Damon Wayans in it, and it's about like a football player who, I don't want to spoil too much, but when you play Madden, like you can control the player, and he gets stuck with that, and his friends and family keep messing with him with the controller. It's interesting.
Oh,
Funny little, like it's not a great movie, I will admit, but I like cheesy little corny shit like that. So it's a good watch.
Those are
good way to kill a
sometimes.
couple hours.
Nice. Cool.
But I think that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thanks for listening, everybody. Joining us for 201 episodes if you've been listening from the beginning.
Right. And if not, go back and listen to like in reverse order so that when you get to the first couple of ones and we're really fresh and learning and not quite sure of ourselves, or maybe we, talked over the top of ourselves more than we do now. I don't know, but we might have to go back and re-record those first couple of episodes and be like, we're going to tell these stories again, but maybe, exactly, with better equipment. So, but I don't know. I think they weren't too bad.
No. All right. Love you, Mom.
Love you too, bud. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, friends. Thank you for supporting our podcast. Please share our show with your brutal and bizarre friends. Give us a Boozy follow on your favorite podcast platform. If you're feeling extra generous, we'd appreciate a 5-star rating or review as well. But maybe do that sober so all the letters are in the right place.
You can find all our contact information in the show notes. We love hearing from you, and if you're interested in helping us stock the bar for our future Boozy episodes, you can find our Patreon link in the show notes as well.